Hello. Oop, I forgot to change the title again. So today we're doing another SCP, and as always, I have to change the little text up here. We're doing SCP 2952. Let me pull that up here real quick. Okay, so we're doing SCP 2952. And we're going to make it a bookend, and you'll see why when we explain what this SCP is. Let me put my stuff, there we go. So I already have 3 segments here for the base that we're going to be sculpting over. But if you look at SCP 2952, I put the link in the description to the original article. It is written by, I believe it was, let's see, where's the AbsentmindedNihilist, or Nihilist, depending on how I pronounce that. But that was the author of this, the tag of the author who wrote this. But this is basically think of it as a ferry railway station that looks like a corgi. It reminded me a little bit of the whimsicalness of like the cat bus. And when I saw it, I wanted to do another SCP, and I was like, yep, I definitely want to do this one. Hopefully I will have enough clay. If not, I may have to do part of it today and sculpt more of it later. We will also probably have 3 videos instead of 2, because while lore accuracy is important, it is also more fun to make it look neat. So there are little tiny fairy beings, or people, creatures, and so on, who get on and off of the station, the corgi stations, and I decided to 3D print a bunch of little people. So these will be entering and exiting the little stations that we're making on our corgi bookends. They're a little bit smaller than they're supposed to be. Sorry. Sorry about that. They're a little smaller than they're supposed to be, but it worked better for the scale that I was doing. So we may need an extra video to paint all of these, because painting minis can be a little bit time consuming. So I might have a separate video where I paint these in the station parts, and then one video to paint the corgi. Although the corgi painting shouldn't be that difficult, so I might be able to do it all in one and just do 2 videos. We'll see. That being said, my plan here is to do a 3-section bookend. Now I do have these here as like metal bases. They aren't quite what I wanted though. So I ordered some, I found a cheap pack of just little L-shaped, like just this half of it, just solid black bookend. So I'm going to attach these to a very firm metal piece to make it more effective. But basically what we're going to do, it's a very long corgi with little doors. I'll explain as we go through the SCP as we're sculpting. But my thought here is 3 sections. This will be the first bookend on one shelf, the head. This will be the midsection. And then we'll have another little exit point, the tail. And I can put these on different sections. Yeah, different, if I can talk today, different sections of my bookshelf. I will have to make room for it. But that's kind of the thought process I have. But as we sculpt, I am going to pull up our little SCP listing here, if I can call it that. And we will read through it as I start the base here. Alright, SCP-2952. Object class. It was originally classed as Euclid, but it is now classed as safe. And we're going to start here with, here, let me use the bookends to put my phone up here so I can read. There we go. We're going to start with the description part. There's a prior section to that won't make a whole lot of sense until we know what we're looking at. SCP-2952 is a male Pembroke Welsh corgi measuring over 30,000 kilometers in length. The head and front legs of SCP-2952 are located in Portland, Oregon, USA, while the hindquarters, the back end of it, are located in a rural area of Japan's Kariwa district, weaving through the Americas, Europe, and much of Asia in between. SCP-2952 does not appear to age. nor does it require food or water. Right. SCP-2952 will not move more than 5 meters from his original position, even if threatened or offered a reward. SCP-2952 will quickly regenerate from all damage done to it. One end will respond to stimuli from the other without the delay that would be assumed or expected due to its length. So we have super long corgi that stretches across the world from the United States and into Japan. That's why I've been referring to it as the corgi subway. It has an actual official name that we're gonna see here a little bit later, but let me make a little progress here. Don't get too focused on reading that I can't sculpt. And the other thing, I went ahead and printed the people out because I need to make sure these openings are big enough to fit them. And my little guy with the loot here, I don't know if you can see him, he's waving. He's the biggest. I maybe should have made him a tad smaller, but he'll be okay. You can probably put him on the steps outside. Alright. In certain areas along SCP-2952's length, small openings will form along the sides at regularly scheduled intervals. See SCP-2952-1 for a full timetable. These locations are designated instances of SCP-2952-1. Now I'm going to refer to these as openings or doors or something just because I think, as beautiful as the jargon, you know, of all the numbers is for the scienciness of the entry, I think it's a little confusing. So I may paraphrase bits of this. I apologize, I keep stumbling over my words today. But I'm going to refer to these as doors. There are 324 known instances of these specific doors. Some are located at major cities, others in suburban or rural areas. The formation of these holes does not seem to harm or adversely affect SCP-2952. When these openings appear, humanoid beings will exit. These entities, designated SCP-2952-2, which we will refer to as tiny people or fairies, are on an average of 3 centimeters high and cannot be viewed directly. They must be photographed or filmed, although physical evidence of their presence, such as shadows or footprints, can be observed. Now, I don't know if these are exclusively fairies, but we're going to have a reference to the Fae and the She-Court later on. So, most likely, some sort of fairy beings. Granted, if you know anything about Celtic lore, fairies and the She just generally mean supernatural beings, not necessarily like fairies with wings. So when I did my little people, I did a mix of them. Now, initially, I was going to be try to be really accurate, and I was going to print them all in transparent 3D resin. Unfortunately, I ran out. I ran out of the clear and I had to use some gray, and so yeah, they're not clear, so they're going to be painted. So I do apologize, I'm not being perfectly accurate with that, but we're going to assume that we have, you know, special vision that we can see through their cloaking and hiding mechanisms. And it's obviously some sort of mechanism because they do mention later that the entire corgi itself later becomes invisible, I believe, to some viewers. Alright. So right now we have a very long doggy, Welsh corgi that's super long. And little doors randomly open on his sides and let little tiny people out. He is a long corgi subway. Alright. Let's see if we can blend all this clay together. Alright, so after the first group of, we're referring to the tiny people, exit, a different group will appear and enter into the same opening. The opening will then seal until the next scheduled event. The same instance of SCP-2952, which would be the people, can be seen entering at one door location and departing at another. Openings on the dexterous side of SCP-2952 take the passengers west, while those on the sinistrous side, which I believe is the left side, take the passengers east. I'm assuming dexterous side refers to the right and sinistrous side refers to the left, because I know the word sinister comes from something relating to the left and being left-handed and so on. I don't think I've ever actually heard those terms used that way before, for left and right. The average documented speed of SCP-2952 appears to be an average of 120 kilometers per hour. Now, I'm going to look that up real quick. Roughly 74 miles per hour. Okay. I'm an American. I don't know kilometers very well. I don't have a good frame of reference for that. And I do apologize if I sound a little funny. I'm a bit congested for some reason today. Alright, so this gets back into the fact that the SCP Foundation isn't always very nice. They sometimes find magical creatures and then just experiment on them for no reason, or harass them, or do weird things and just be like, I wonder what would happen if we poked this. So, they apparently found this little long dog with obvious humanoid beings coming in and out of him, and decided that they would experiment in or cover or do things with him. The very first thing that they did was bury parts of him. The burying of many of the SCP-2952-1, which would be the door instances, they buried the door sections, essentially the station stops, stopped the other group, the people, the little people, from entering or exiting SCP-2952. 3 days after all of the door instances were buried. So for some reason, they all went around and buried all of the door exits, or all of the little body exits, in the ground. I don't know why you would do that, but that's what they did. So 3 days after all of these instances were buried, the project director responsible for this, Project Director Stevens, disappeared from his apartment with an adult European mole left in his place. I really loved that little detail, because I liked, I guess, the quirkiness of the Feywilds and fairies and that kind of idea. I believe Feywild's more D&D coded, but anyway, the she and the fairies. I love the whimsicalness of, and maybe you shouldn't tick them off. It gets worse, but, so he was replaced with a vole. I think they mean that he was transformed into one. At least that's what I'm going with. Alright. Over the next 3 weeks, after the director got replaced with a mole, over the next 3 weeks, 17 of the construction workers also responsible for burying the instances of SCP-2952-1, which would be the doors, woke up to find the walls of their houses had been replaced by a mixture of poison ivy and deathcap mushrooms. Deathcap mushrooms, I believe, are deadly. I'm not positive, but I believe they are deadly. So yes, extremely irritating and some deadly stuff. Replaced their walls. And I'm curious if it meant their entire wall was replaced or if it was like partially covered. I'm not sure. Because I don't think your wall could stand up. Unless it's like the exterior part of the drywall. I don't know where this was. If it's supposed to be in America that this happened. Because if it's in America... Although I guess it's international technically. If it were in America, I would imagine just the exterior drywall or something would be replaced. Because you couldn't replace like the studs in the structural part of a wall. Else it would just collapse. I mean, we are talking about fairies, so I suppose anything's possible. But their walls were covered in poison ivy and deathcap mushrooms. And the final thing that happened, after 2 months, researcher Mills, who had been in charge of testing the regenerative properties of SCP-2952, which is a really nice, non-emotional way to say that they were actively harming the C.O.R.G.I, and seeing how well he regenerated or healed from that harm, he woke up to find, let's see, I lost my place. who had been in charge of testing the regenerative properties of SCP-2952, woke up with poisonous nightshade berries in his mouth and stakes of hawthorn driven through his hands and feet. So, yeah, they didn't like that too well. I don't blame them, though. That's really messed up. Like, why would you ever see a partially unusual living animal and then be like, wow, this thing regenerates so fast. Let me actively continue harming it to see how it regenerates so fast. So far we have the Fae have gone after, or the She have gone after the director who buried all the things. He got replaced with or transformed into a vole. All of the workers woke up with their houses being particularly dangerous with death cap mushrooms and poison ivy. And the guy who was harming the dog, because he's a jerk, I guess. I know it's probably for science would be the justification. If you look through history, there's lots of actual scientific experiments that are quite horrific. So it's not an unrealistic story point to have there. But he woke up with stakes in his hands and feet and poisonous berries in his mouth. Basically, that's a real close to death threat there. Which, I mean, he kind of deserved it. He was hurting a dog for for no reason other than I just want to see how well it heals. All right. Now let me... I lost my place again. And here we go. Yes, the anomalous events that we just talked about were theorized to be the work of the population, the smaller people. In response, a plan to appease them was devised using information collected from relevant myths, leading to the current protocol for the unburying and monitoring instances of SCP-2952-1, the doors, implemented on December 9th, 2016. 2 weeks later, the mole, which was in the office, disappeared from its containment area and was replaced with Director Stevens, and the poison ivy and mushrooms disappeared from the homes of the construction workers. Note that there is no comment on what happened to the man who was torturing the dog. He apparently was not forgiven, which is fair. Let's see. Security footage showed that during the retrieval and detaining of civilians who saw SCP-2952, there were instances of those small people following the Foundation agents and observing their actions closely. So basically, they disturbed the fairies, and the fairies started following them around to figure out what the heck they were doing. Alright, so we're almost finished covering this. I just gotta fix a few spots here. I hope I don't run out of clay. I don't know why my nose is running. It wasn't earlier, but now it is. Now that I'm trying to talk, it's being annoying. Alright. So after that happened, on January 5th, 2017, SCP-2952 became visually imperceptible to all humans not under the Foundation's employ, in an identical manner to that of the small people that aboard the C.O.R.G.I Railway. In addition, instances of those people are now visible to the Foundation employees. So we're assuming we're a Foundation employee because these people in my sculpture are going to be visible, though not to civilians. As such, SCP-2952 has now been reclassified as safe. So essentially, they ticked off the fairies and then made it up to them, sort of, and all of them were forgiven except the one that was hurting the dog. Which is completely fair. So the Foundation employees can now watch, and they have a protocol that we skipped over that was the beginning of this entry for how to deal with the various locations to keep them from being spotted, sighted, or interacted with by mistake by regular civilians. All right, so after all of this, on January 9th, 2017, Director Stevens, the man who got replaced with the bull, had a note left on his desk by a starling, which flew out the window before it could be caught. The text of the note, translated from Welsh, is as follows: "Thank you for your prompt response to the commuter complaints and wonderful customer service. As such, we have granted all members of your organization complimentary transportation of our C.O.R.G.I. system. Please send a sparrow to the Council of the SCHI office nearest you if you have any further questions. G. Foxglove, Director of Transportation, the Council of Twillith Teg." I don't know if that's how you say that. I'm going to look that up later. So that little comment about the SCHI office, it's spelled SIDHE, but that is, the SCHI are, fairies. If you've ever heard the term banshee, that is because that is a specific type of SCHI or fairy. And the original spelling is SIDHE. Because it's Gaelic, I think, or Welsh, or both. I don't know any of those languages enough to confidently say that. I always have to look up pronunciations when I'm doing mythological creatures or names or things from there, because I tend to butcher them if I don't, because their letter combinations are pronounced differently. Sounds really pretty, though. And I thought it was a nice touch that it's all written in Welsh, since we're talking about a Welsh corgi. Thought that was cute. Which also fits the whole, fairy theme. It is insanely hot in here. I may have to turn my AC back on, in which case the audio will get a little staticky. Alright, so we got our rough shape here that will eventually turn into a corgi. Eventually, we're getting there. Alright, so I'm going to scroll up here to the protocols for dealing with SCP-2952. These are the containment procedures. Granted, at this point, they're probably not using them as much because the fairies made the corgi invisible to most average civilians. Urban and suburban sections of SCP-2952 should be camouflaged appropriately according to their surrounding environment, or built directly into walls or foundation of nearby buildings. Underwater sections of 2952 are to be disguised as internet cables. Sections of 2952 in rural or underdeveloped areas are to be buried underground. So I wonder if it was while they were doing these containment procedures, but again, if you didn't know what this was, why would you randomly start burying it? Or they were just stupid and they accidentally buried the entrances. But I do find it funny that you would find a super long creature and be like, I know how to handle this, I'm just gonna bury it. That'll fix the problem. Like, why would you do that? Alright, as of 1/5/17, instances of 2952-1, the doors, are to be exposed, so that's their updated, to allow travelers using SCP-2952 to depart and board. Instances of these doors are to be remotely monitored so that civilians who encounter SCP-2952 can be detained and anesthetized. If an SCP-29-21 instance, the doors, is still in the process of being uncovered and set up for monitoring, a small meal of fruits, milk, nuts, wildflowers, and honey is to be left at the instance of each sunrise and sunset. The plate is to be accompanied by a note in Welsh, politely apologizing for the inconvenience and providing a date for when the instance will be opened for transit. Though SCP-2952 does not require food or water, regular interaction and play with the head of SCP-2952 is advisable to maintain emotional health and is beneficial to on-site morale. So yes, they went from, oh, we're going to hurt the corgi to, we're going to play with him and make him happy. So that's an improvement. All right, I got to pull up an image of, well, I guess I could just scroll up this way, the corgi head. So I'm thinking about saving the rest of this description, particularly the first SCP agent to travel on this railway. There is a list of her travels. I'm thinking we may save that for next time when I start painting. I don't know if I'm going to paint the corgi or the minis first, but that way I have something to talk about for a bit there. So I'm not just, you know, staring aimlessly in silence painting stuff, because I do that a lot. Because by the time I've painted it, I've already told the whole story. Like, I've not even done a fraction of this, and I've already read the entire entry. I should learn to ramble and talk about it more. But I will save the rest of this entry for the next sculpting event video. And we will just go with what this says for now. Now, I'll have to be honest, I'm not that great at sculpting dog heads, so it may take me a bit to get this correct. May take a little bit before I really get the shape correct. I'm going to grab my phone down here again. Okay. So the head, let me look at a corgi head from the side here. Corgi head, side. There we go. A little bit more of a ridge here. A little bit more. All right. Like a little forehead thing here, just a little bit. All right, so I think I got the rough head shape. Kinda right, not quite. Okay, so then the eyes are here and here. Is that right? Not quite. Not quite. Need to be lower. A bit lower. More like here. And here. Oh, I forgot to bring the eyes with me. I didn't bring eyes up here. I may have to run and get those because I think I forgot to bring the eyes. There we go. We have the eye holes. About the right spot. Thinking about marbles for the eyes on this one, perhaps. That may be the best option. All right. Now, let me see here. Trying to think. Okay. Actually, I think I have marbles up here. Let me see. Let me see what I got in my box. I have... Oh, good, I do. I have two dark blue. I'm gonna use these for the eyes. Okay. Do the little eyelids for the eyes. But yeah, this, I think when I read this entry, it kind of reminded me of the whimsy of like Ghibli's Cat Bus and the Cat Bus in Persona 5. And so it's the dog subway. I believe there was an actual acronym for the C.O.R.G.I and what it stood for. Can't find it right now, but I will see if I can find that before we're done. If I remember to. See, the top of their head is very kind of flat. Alright. Should probably do a slight lower eyelid. A little bit longer. There we go. Alright, there we go. We got his little eyes in. Now let me look at the nose. It's very rounded. Okay. Okay, let me see here, doggy nose. I need a smaller. Here we go. That is not smaller. Okay, so he's got a no nose now. Alright, so we have the front of the corgi face. Okay. Boy. Now I am going to try to build a small station for each of these. Just a little bit that comes out so that I can put little minis that sit on it. Okay, now we got to do the big corgi ears. Let's turn this into a triangle. Alright. They're slightly more rounded, but that's fine. These will get more rounded as I work on them. Alright. They're almost oval shaped. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, this is the part of the video where I don't have anything to say, so I just stop talking. That might be a good thing, actually. Although I feel like it's less entertaining that way. Honestly, some people would probably prefer that I shut up and not say anything. We are going to do a very fluffy fur pattern on this guy, just because I think it's cute for the puppy. So we will be doing that. And it also makes it easier because then I don't have to stress so much about getting this clay perfectly smooth. So we got the corgi ears. He's looking like a corgi now. And I feel like I should add a little bit to make his little cheeks, front part of his lip, his mouth a little chubbier. For a dog that's like right here. Okay. Oh, yeah. Push it a little bit more. I feel like we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. This is the hardest section to sculpt, so. Alright. Alright, let me look at the ears because I want to do. Alright. We got to do his front little paws. And then I got to design the entrance here and the this first one, we got to do a sizable thing here on the side. Oh, we got to work on the entrance over here. Alright, we got to do the front paws. We might run out of clay. I don't know if I have enough. Granted, I think the head took a ton, so maybe not, but it's going to be cutting it close. Like I said, we may not be able to fully finish it today. I may have to finish covering something, but I'll do the, hopefully the main sections today, just so that if something goes wrong, we'll at least have those done. Alright, let me see. Yeah, we should do it like this. Because it needs to go on the side. Not quite that much clay. All right. All right, so we have one of his front paws. This one should be out further, I guess. All right. And we're going to take a thin piece of clay here. Okay. I said thin, but I'm changing my mind. I'm going to try to make this look correct. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that does not look right. Okay, that's looking a little better. I just got to get the angle correct. Anatomy is hard. Yeah, this video is definitely going to have to be broken into 3 parts. Because I know it's going to take me forever to paint all those minis, and I'm not even certain that I'm going to finish sculpting it all today. So, we shall see. The only thing is, if I run out of clay, there may be quite a delay before I finish it, because I will not be doing videos on the week after the 28th, because I have to undergo some tooth surgery stuff, so I will not be able to do the video then. But, oh, where did I put, oh, there. Okay. Let me blend this in a little better. Okay, so we have main part of the corgi here. Now I did a little measuring and I can have it. Yeah, so it can be just this width, and this is as wide as it can be, and I can't make it any wider, so. Now I may take a razor blade to this edge to make it perfectly flat. Because it needs to be for this. Because I will be attaching it later to a metal, metal frame. Now I'm gonna try to make these look very branchy. Like vines almost, because of what we'll read next time is the description of the interior of the carriage. Or I guess the miniature ferry subway. But just gonna twist these together. Okay, so we're working on the doorway. Oh. And I think we also probably need steps. Alright, so we're making little steps here. Alright, so now we have some stairs here. Some vines. And I think this guy is going to go on the platform here. So it'll look like this. Oh. Now the question is, how do we do the base for like the platforms? Because I feel like there's a couple ways we could do it. But I'm gonna run out of clay, so I probably shouldn't make it out of clay. Foam board or wooden board might actually be a better call here. So I might hold off on doing the platform section, and I might make the platform and the miniature painting one single video. So I'll do the miniature painting, do all the platforming, and then paint the corgi and put everything together on the final. Because I do think this is going to be multiple videos. Okay. Okay, now I need... I may add some floof around his head, because I think he needs that. Alright, add a little extra here. And I'm doing this because I want to make him fluffier. So if I add these little patches and then I can score them multiple times to make it look like a fur pattern. So this part, I'm just going to do a very faint pattern around the close parts of his face. And then here we'll do the thicker floof pattern. Do it lighter. We're getting there. Our little corgis. Getting there. Mm. Alright, we're getting there. This is the most boring part of everything. Bent the ear, but I kind of like it. Here's the first part of our corgi. Like I said, I'm gonna hold off on the platform, but there will be a little, like, flat platform right here. I think I might make it out of, I might use wood pieces as a base or something, and paint those. Just because, one, I don't think the clay is gonna hold up terribly well because of it being kind of brittle. And two, I'm gonna run out of clay here. And I ordered more, but it's not gonna come for like 2 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks, so. Oh, I almost forgot. I have to slice this off. Ow, did I just cut my, okay, no, I didn't cut my hand. All right. So then, there we go. So we flattened this edge here so that we can glue it to a bookend piece that I ordered already, but won't be here for a bit. So, all right. I guess we should do the middle next because it's probably the simplest. And then the back end will be a little harder. I'm debating, I may 3D print some more decorations like lanterns because those won't be easy to sculpt. But I might try 3D printing some additional details. All right, we are getting closer to finishing. I feel like I'm gonna have just enough clay to finish this guy, or almost enough. I might have a tiny bit extra, but it's gonna be tight. I can already tell. Okay, so this doorway is shorter That's a problem. Make it bigger because we need... Okay, that's better. I need to make it big enough that the tallest guy fits. Actually, you know, I just thought I should do some details on the steps to make them look a bit brick-like or stone-like. There we go. I made them look a little bit more like stone. Now, tall guy is probably going to be standing right there on the bottom step of this first one, like this. And then I have the little fairy lady that I made who's also waving. He's going to be standing on the platform waiting for him. All right. Gonna carve a little stone pattern into this one, just kind of haphazardly. Alright, so we have a little stone base there, because we're not going to be able to do these stairs as well. Now, the C.O.R.G.I part of this is easier just because this is the mid piece. So, alright, we're going to make some more vines. Let me go ahead and do some roughed up fur here. All right. There we go. We got half the doorway. And we got to do the other half, which will be much smaller. Alright, so we got the doorway here on that one. Now we have to do the fur pattern. And then we'll cut and shave down these edges so that they are I feel like this needs to be combined with other techniques, because by itself it's not looking as cool, although, yeah, I can just turn it sideways, that works. So turn it sideways a few times and do it flat. Let's see, how long? 2 hours. That's not bad. Not bad. Yeah, I wasn't sure how long this one was gonna take. Oops, wrong way. Just gotta get these roughly flat. And it's fine if it looks terrible, because again, we're going to be gluing these. We're going to be gluing them to a base, so, or to a bookend metal piece. Support, I guess, would be a better term. I'm not sure, but we're going to be doing that, so it's fine. All right, so here is our middle piece. And we just got to do the back end. Oh, it is getting incredibly hot in here, but I think I can last out till we're done, till we're finished with the rest of the figurine. Now, there wasn't really a description of what the doors looked like exactly. So, since the interior description that we'll go over next time when we do the painting mentions twigs, bark, and some very fairy kind of cottagecore decor, that's what I'm doing for the platforms. Like modern, but made out of twigs and leaves. That's kind of where my brain's going for this. And I think it'll work out. Yeah, we're cutting it close. This is all the clay I have left. Should be enough for the legs, I think. Alright, so I have to pull up C.O.R.G.I. Okay, because we're going to do a little thing here. Luffy. Make his little bottom here. Alright, so now we're going to do the paws. All right. It'd be cuter if he had his paws out backwards. Sometimes they do that. Or I'm going to do that. I'll put his little toes up in the air. That'd be cute. Because then I get to do the little toe pads. And those are adorable. So he's going to have his little back feet outward. Alright, so now we're going to do his other little leg. There's a little short pause. Let me pull up that reference again. Oh, they're even shorter actually. That's too long. Should be like this way. Well, maybe not quite. Okay. Alright, so we got his little paw sticking out the back. So we're gonna do the little toe pads now. A little too small. Alright. His little paws are sticking out. Okay. We are almost finished. But like I said, this is going to be 3 videos instead of 2 probably. Painting the actual corgi won't actually take that long, I don't think. Because he's light colored, I'm not even going to do like the dark black base coat to begin with, so that's not going to take me as long. Alright, so we're gonna do the entranceway to this one real quick here. Okay. Alright, so now we're gonna do the other side here real quick. Okay. All right, almost finished. There we go. Okay, so we have a little bit of a platform there, but we'll add more of a platform later. Now we just gotta finish the fur pattern and then see if we can flatten this up a little bit. All right. Here is the back end. Okay. Now I do think I want to do some quick texturing. I am left with this much clay. That is all I got. All right. This one. Okay, so I'm going to move all of this away so we can kind of see what we got. Got this part of the corgi, the middle part of the corgi, and then the back, whoops, the back end. Okay. So we can look at this part in more detail. This section. And then our final section. Alright, so I think we're done for tonight. I need to go turn the AC back on. I need to get an AC that's quieter. That would really help. But if you watched this video, I greatly appreciate it. I will be finishing this piece up hopefully by next week or the middle of, or the end of next week or the middle of the week after that. I will probably have 2 separate videos because I still have to paint all of these little minis. And I have to do the platforms and such. So that'll take me a little bit. However, I will try to get it done. I will be skipping out on the week of the 28th, whatever that is. I won't be able to do any videos then. So I'm trying to do this consistently. If you like this video, please let me know. Give me suggestions of other SCPs, monsters, cryptids, internet stuff you'd like to see me even do fan art. I'll do fan art stuff too. I just can't sell it on the shop, and if it's too iffy I won't, but typically fan art's okay. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna head out now, and hopefully I will be working on this again next week. Have a good night.